about my youngest child. So I'm here again as a mama, not just a mama, but a bad mama jamma. I have to show y'all this. Check it out. Yes, it says Shelby for my name, Michele Dugar. So just had to show that off a bit. But yes, it is another mama story. And this time I am talking about my oldest son, Austin. Because when I saw the topic was love, he came to mind because it's through Austin that I have learned the biggest lessons about love, what love is, and the power of love. So let me tell you a little bit about Austin. All of my children are triple threats, and that, yes. Now, I'm a mama, proud mama, but no, legitimately, I have reason to be proud about that. So, in case in point, Austin. Again, all three. There's Austin, Madison, and Jackson. But Austin, like his siblings, was an athlete and had accomplishments as an athlete in high school. And he was the captain of the varsity soccer team for Dutch Fork High School. He was an artist, and when he was in high school as well, went to TriDAC. Has anybody here been to TriDAC? TriDAC! All the siblings have gone to TriDAC. And he was also, had academics, so those 3 A's, art, academics, athletics. But also I could describe him with the C's, and that he was charming, charismatic when he was in high school, very cute guy, and charming, charismatic, confident. So his friends like to tell stories about how confident he is, not arrogant, but that confident where they do their own thing. He got his friends wearing clothes from thrift shops because he was just confident and he did his own thing. And his friends often talk about how his authentic self, because he was so confident, inspires them. So all of that adds up to make him a bit of a ladies' man. I mean, you got the three A's, the 4 C's, and one summer he went to camp with his friend Miles, who's a cool kid too, but Austin's that guy. And I took them to camp. This was when they were in high school. I took them to camp, and my friend Miles' mom, who's one of my good friends, picked the boys up, and she was telling me that while they were waiting to leave, the girls were coming by, and all she heard was, "Bye, Austin, bye, Austin, bye, Austin, bye, Austin, bye, Miles, bye, Austin, bye, Austin." That's my son. So, but it's not just the ladies that were digging Austin. When he was in high school, there was a week where he had no lunch money. And I'm like, dude, why didn't tell me you had lunch money? It wasn't an issue because he just worked the room in the cafeteria. So, he is one of the jocks. And so he gets along with the jocks, but we're a family of nerds. So, and again, he has the academics thing, so he got along with the nerds. And then the young guys, the underclassmen, he made them feel important too. So he just worked the room, and I could just see him like, "Jessica, could you have your mom put a little more salt on those kale chips?" And it was a big feat for him to get through a week because his his appetite is legendary. The kid eats a lot. So I thought that was why he was so into his job when he was working at Wild Wings, because he constantly had food. And I was like, so they just, what do y'all do? Like, take the food that people don't like? Do they hook you up with food? And he explained to me, because he was a waiter, that no, they don't give them free food, but he went to the kitchen and was like, "Hey, you guys need any help?" And they were like, "Nobody ever offers to help us." And I remember when his car was out of service and I picked him up, I was like, "Dude, you smell like celery." I did call him dude. He called me Madre and I called him dude. "You smell like celery." And that's because he was helping the guys in the kitchen. That was just what he did. So he was the cool kid, and it wasn't just because he was charismatic and he was cute that people were so drawn to him. He had a calling, a sense of duty to try to go above and beyond to help people. So that is what was attractive to him, or what attracted people to him. And I say this in past tense because that is his legacy. A year and a half ago, Austin was killed in a car accident. And you may have seen it because it was in the news where they said Dutch Fort mourns the loss of soccer player, star soccer player. And I knew my kid was a cool kid, but I didn't realize until his passing about a year and a half ago, his awe-inspiring ability to make people better, to have a positive impact on so many people just shy of his 20th birthday. And it's because he walked in love. And so when I think of what love is and the power of love, I think about how Austin lived his life. And it became so apparent when we look at how he also lost his life, and that the stories poured in. So the state paper, if you Google Austin Dugar, there is an article about him because they picked up on the murmurings on social media. Then their Watch TV came and interviewed the family, like, who is this kid? Then they had another episode where they talked to his friends. Then they came to the memorial we had at Lake Murray, the candlelight vigil. And the service that we had, I knew it was so important for everybody to come together because in addition to how he lived his life, and that it showed that his superpower was his kindness, what I learned in his passing was the power of connections. So love is kindness to someone else, where you take the time to give them attention, you take the time to help somebody else, but it's the connection. So we had this community of a shared heartache, and constantly, I guess the news went through, I would constantly hear from people reaching out to me who didn't know we knew the same people, because they were like, yeah, my neighbor's son, he's best friends with your son. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. Because he was the kid, he's like, I'm going to the football game, and we're like, who you going with? He never went with anybody, because he could just show up and get along with anybody and everybody. That's who he was. But we all had this connection. And some of the stories were told, like, he was at college in Charleston, that's where he had been attending, and at a party, and you know, he's always the big guy on campus. Again, he's charismatic, he's charming, he's cute. And there were two girls. This is one of the stories that were told at Lake Murray, when we were at the dam at Kennewick. There were these two, they were going out partying, and there were these two girls that were sloppy drunk, and they were supposed to go to the party of the year thereafter, and he was like, no, we gotta go find those girls and make sure they get home. He was that kid. One of the stories that came to me was this young man who said he wasn't that close to Austin. Everybody knew Austin, everybody loved Austin, and he would see him in the hallway, and that Austin wrote something in his yearbook, and that this young man, I got the impression that he was a bit of an outsider, you know, maybe a little awkward, and he reached out to me and he said that he realized, looking back, that he was depressed and had suicidal thoughts at times, but Austin wrote something in his yearbook that really impacted him. And I was like, God damn, I wish I could see that, because he didn't tell me. But this past November, Austin's birthday, he shared a picture of it with me, and it said something along the lines of, you are very inspirational. The way you're not afraid to show who you are is admirable. You will go far, Austin Dugar. And that young man told me that he was like blown away that someone like Austin saw him, and that he was like, I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that Austin sees. So I was like, the power of love, which love is just kindness sometimes, and taking time to show people attention. Shortly after his pass, my mailman, who I've seen constantly but I never really spoke to, and he came up to the house and he gave me my mail in my hand, and he had tears in his eyes, and he's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, you're that young man. He mentioned how, he's like, Austin, he didn't know his name right away. He said he would speak to me and say, how's your day going? And get eye contact. And my mailman said, young people don't do that these days. And that man was touched. And also an example how love is connections. Someone you barely know, I think we hugged and we said, I love you. And so I realized the power of connections, whether it's from an acquaintance you barely know, but you feel something, that connection to another soul. And it's so powerful that it helped keep a grieving mother in the light. And a lot of people will say, you're so strong, because I can stay composed at times. And I want to convey that what keeps me in the light, particularly a year ago, was connections to other people, and that's love. And I explain, people are like, I can't imagine what it's like to lose someone. I'm like, yeah, you can. So I'm gonna tell you what it's like. If you ever had that situation where you wanted to cry out in anguish, like maybe someone broke up with you, you were treated unfairly, something that was unjust, and the more you think about it, the more upset you get, and that high point of when you get so upset, again, the more you think about it, that point when you want to cry out, that's the pain that I felt, but it was just constant. I didn't have to think about it and get worked up. It was constant. And I also equated to some nasty ass collard greens that are a little too salty, okay? And if you add more salt, it gets saltier, it gets worse. But if you add a cup of salt, it's not gonna taste any saltier. And I think the pain at that point was like the salty collard greens, where if the house burned down, I lost my job, I would not feel any worse. That would be the extra salt, but it wouldn't make a difference. It wouldn't feel any different. So I have these nasty ass collard greens on my plate, but you all, connections to another soul, like my wall of mashed potatoes, that kind of keep that over there, keep that nasty juice not going into the rest of the plate. And the rest of the plate, it was at that time my day. So I keep the grief, the sorrow at bay because of my connections to another soul, my mashed potato wall. So I can enjoy the sweet potatoes and the candy yams and the macaroni and cheese. And then as I enjoyed that, it's like another good moment, another good moment, another good day. And people are like, you got more? It's like, no, I'm not forgetting that the collard greens are there. It's not like there's a napkin over it and I'm forgetting about it. Because when you do that, the juice seeps in. You know, that pain you're not addressing seeps in other areas. But with having the wall, I can address it on my own terms. And so love is kindness. Love is powerful, even if it comes from an acquaintance. Love is connection to a human soul. And one of his friends spoke at his service and said that he and Austin were really good friends, and he told Austin he loved him. And that was common. And many of us tell each other we loved him, but one of the things that Kewen regrets is he didn't tell Austin why he loved him. So the lesson from his life and death that I want to pass on to you is love is kind, love is powerful, and tell people why you love them.